Let us move on to the next question. This question is from 2020. Other than the fundamental rights, which of the following parts of the Constitution of India reflect or reflects the principles and provisions of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948? The preamble, DPSP, fundamental duties. Select the correct answers using the code given below. So the question is asking that the fundamental rights are already included. Other than the fundamental rights, which of the following from this 1, 2, 3 reflects the principles and provisions which are contained in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Here we need to study about Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The UN General Assembly in 1948 came up with a document called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And as the name goes, they are the human rights declared at the international level. And these are the fundamental human rights which are universally protected. And this was done in response to the Second World War because of the nature and the violence in the Second World War and the level of inhuman acts that the humans can do to each other. Seeing that as a world society, the UN General Assembly came up with this Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And it was drafted by UN Committee, which was chaired by E. Roosevelt. This Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, it covers almost 30 articles which have details about the human rights which are acceptable at the universal level. Just because you are a human being born as a human being, you need to have certain freedoms. What are those freedoms? That is what is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They are inherent to every human being. They are inalienable. That means you cannot take away those. Just because you are born as a human being, these rights belong to you. You are born with these rights. And these are applicable to all human beings. And this Universal Declaration of Human Rights ultimately led to the development of international humanitarian and human rights laws at the international arena. So if you look at the preamble of the UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it says that few of the rights which recognize the inherent dignity, the equality, the inalienable rights for the various humans along across the world, so that ultimately the world justice and world peace can be promoted in the world. So that is why they were brought in. And what are the different types of rights that are there? The declaration, this is a summary of all the 30 rights. So the declaration consists of various rights. The preamble, as I said, talks about the reasons and the historical situation in which the rights were developed. So it lists out the historical reasons and the social causes based on which the rights were developed. In the article 1 to 2, they talk about concepts like dignity, liberty, equality, and later on they mention about right to life, the prohibition of slavery, the prohibition of torture of human beings. And there are also different remedies which are there for self-defense. And article 12 to 17 have the right to property, the right to nationality, the right to seek asylum in a different country if you're persecuted in your country. And 81 to 21 have the constitutional liberties, spiritual, political, public freedom, freedom of thought, opinion, expression, religion. So if you can observe here, this freedom of thought, opinion, expression, this is very similar to the right to freedom which are included in our fundamental rights. And 22 to 27, they have sanctions on the individual, social, economic and cultural rights, including healthcare, standard of living, care given to those in motherhood and childhood. So these are in the nature of similar to what is there in the DPSPs in the Indian Constitution. And ultimately, if you look at the articles 28 to 30, they talk about the not only rights but also of the duties of individuals to the societies. So duties are similar to the fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution. So now if you see, the question tells which of the following provisions of the UDHR reflects the following things in the Indian Constitution. So we saw something which is there in the DPSPs, we saw something which is there in the fundamental duties, and we also have liberty, equality, all of which is mentioned in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. So to summarize, The objectives of the preamble, such as the justice, social, economic, political, and even in the UDHR principle, we saw how liberty and equality are reflected. So clearly you can see here, liberty and equality are reflected in the very first two articles. So preamble reflects the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Similarly, DPSPs also reflect the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in these articles. Ultimately, the fundamental duties, the Article 29 specifically talks about the duties of the individual to the society, which was covered here. So we can say that in the question, the preamble, the DPSPs, and the fundamental duties, all of them, along with the fundamental rights, reflect the principles which are there in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948. So all are correct. For us, the answer would be D in this case.